morning, everyone. This is Garrett with another episode of Produce Your Freedom. Wanting to continue along the cider series here. I'm on my way to work, but I just figured I'd pop in and talk a little bit about priming cider in the bottle to get that carbonation into the beverage. So after I've sanitized everything and I've done all my racking and it's pretty much ready to go to the bottling phase, my recipe for what I add at this point to give it a little more sugar to kick the yeast off again and give me carbonation is, per gallon I add about a half cup of water, a half cup of brown sugar, so I mix that all up. I use warm water to do this, or hot water. I add, and this is all in one measuring cup, maybe about another ounce of honey. Get that going in, maybe a little less. And then what I usually add is just a little dusting of cinnamon and nutmeg, and that's going to be up to you what that mix comes to in terms of those spices. I just eyeball it, and you kind of get that taste over time. I then take that mixture, I pop it into the gallon jug that I use. I kind of mix it up a little bit, and I bottle from there with a racking cane currently. I'd prefer to do it with a bottling bucket. You can do it at the same point there. And that's it. And then I put it in the bottles. Very important when doing this, just to be safe, because the bottle tops could blow off, or potentially the bottles could even completely rupture. One key that I keep in mind is I bottle it, I close those flip tops, leaving enough space, some space in each bottle certainly, and then I take all of that and I put it in like a 5-gallon buckets with the lids on, or a Rubbermaid container or something like that with a lid on. So if anything did happen, I'm just trying to make it so that if they pop the top, then all the cider went everywhere. Just be in a plastic container that I could just hose out. Hopefully that's helpful for you. You do end up with a little more haziness and some solid stuff in there when you do this. It takes your cider and unclears it at that point. An alternative way to do this would be to do the nutmeg and cinnamon first at some point in your batch. Once most of the fermenting's done, kind of shake that up, and then you could rack it one more time or filter it, and then do the sugar and honey, which would be completely dissolved at the end when you bottle. I'm going to experiment with that a little bit as well, but hopefully you enjoyed this little tidbit. Alrighty, one more quick thing I wanted to mention here is about how long I leave that stuff in the bottle, getting charged up with good fizzy carbonation. I usually do about 3 days in the bottles in the bucket, and it tends to come out really fizzy. As soon as you're done with it being in that bucket, you want to transfer it to a fridge, and what that'll do is kill the yeast that has now kind of been awakened. It's called cold crashing sometimes. Basically all you're doing is driving it down to a point where the yeast is just completely inactive. Worth noting with that, that if you have some yeast in the bottom of those, theoretically if you left them back out in room temperature again, you could start the yeast activating more and building even more pressure. So I try and keep them cold from that point on in. Hopefully that was helpful for you, and check in for some new great videos coming up in the coming weeks. Thanks.